Okay, this is a doozy of a video. I have watched this already, and I understand some of his points, and some of them I just completely disagree with. And it's not because he's lying or anything like that. That's not the commentary I want to put here. It's just, I think that there's some lack of knowledge or understanding here. So, firstly, to put this out there, I am not someone who likes to indulge in leaks. If anything, I try to avoid them because it's harmful to the company that I have so much respect for, and it doesn't feel good, does it, when you know that someone's stealing something and causing a rift in something that you love. So, I had to actually ask other people about things relating to the leaks now. I didn't ask for any information on them, but a rough idea of when they start occurring and what tends to happen. So the order of events that lead up to all this content coming out that miHoYo actually wants rid of. And some of the techniques that leakers are using. The reason these are important is because it proves whether or not this content creator server will actually combat them well. And based on my understanding, it does not at all. It is just basically setting up a pyramid of who has access to the content officially. So the people who already have tons of subscribers get more of them, and the people who are building their way up don't get that viewership relating to these new characters anymore, because the monopoly at the top, the ones who have the early access, are the ones that go to get all the viewership. So it's misinformed, because the claim is that by having this server give access to these characters early, it gives power to the content creators and to the company again. That is not the case at all. Because apparently, leaks occur within weeks of the beta tests coming out, which is very unlikely, or if miHoYo did this, then it would take power back to an extent. To actually release access to content creators to officially post about beta tests where the content is incomplete, where characters are subject to change still. So what is the alternative solution that would probably enable miHoYo to control these leaks and stop leakers? Well, we know that the access that they're currently giving people to their games does not work. How do we know this? Because leaks exist. All of the people who are spreading the leaks are absolutely probably under NDA. Whatever that NDA includes, I won't be able to tell you, but I'm confident that they're breaking it, considering we've seen examples of people getting caught by miHoYo and put in prison for it. So, what is the alternative? Most game developing companies tend to have remote testing grounds, which are physical locations that beta testers actually have to go to in order to access the game. Secondly, they only go for actual beta testers who have it as a profession, rather than any member of the audience who signs up for it. The first one prevents one of the main concerning things that apparently leakers are doing, which is taking the data from the beta files and putting it on personal servers so they cannot be tracked by miHoYo because it doesn't display their account information and they can rig things within the server that they've created to not show explicit details that miHoYo would use to identify the people involved, the beta testers. So they wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Then, if you make it so you can only access the game, you lock permissions on the machines within the beta environment, then you're preventing people from being able to record on screen, so they'd have to actually get physical photos of beta test stuff. Then you mark out the computer screens as something on the screen to show its identity so you can find the time, the place, and the who. Yes, it needs to be that secure. And the thing is, I don't know why miHoYo isn't doing this. They've got the money. Yes, it's an extra expense, but that extra expense guarantees the security of their brand. And, based on other information, apparently leaks are happening within the company by members of staff. That is something that they need. I would hope they're investigating. I would really hope. It's like, unfortunately, it's a business and people need to treat it as such. But I don't think making an argument that this content creator server idea is actually going to help give power to the company and to the creators. It doesn't. It sets up a pyramid of who has the content and who does not. And the people who have the content are the ones with the biggest followings, which is kind of messed up to me. It's like, I don't think that I'm in the category of anyone who should have remotely gotten that access. I'm not going to claim that either. And I don't really care, because the point of my content isn't really to react to new kit as it becomes available. It's not a guide channel. I talk about the characters who I end up with getting, but I don't care to analyse every piece of character, like, thoroughly on their kit. That doesn't matter to me. I get characters because I like them, typically. That's my stance on that. But if you're going to make the argument that this is helpful to anyone but the big content creators who get the access to it, then you're wrong. Even if the access becomes more available progressively, it is still a race of who can do it faster, and the people who have this as a full-time job are likely going to be faster than the people who are smaller, who have to work their actual job on top of doing content creation. Because who has more available hours to edit and do things within a day? The person whose full-time job this is. So it's a rat race, and it's not a fun one either for the people who want to take part in it. I don't want this to be misrepresented. I would rather miHoYo fix the problem at its core, so it's no longer a problem, than people claim that a non-solution is a solution. I don't think that content creators should get hate for taking this opportunity, because anyone would have. He is absolutely right on that perspective. Anyone who was given this chance would probably take it in a heartbeat. They'd also feel incredibly guilty about it, like he apparently is. Because obviously it's an exclusivity thing. When only a few people have access to it and it's such a good opportunity, it's a shame if other people don't get it. So now we're in this lovely little moment of how some of the issue with this is I don't think that there's a way to really beat the leakers, and instead you have to focus on the control of them. You cannot make the content before they release it, because it's unlikely miHoYo is going to give that level of access. They do give that sort of access for Honkai Impact 3rd. Its beta tests, up until relatively recently, were available to be recorded and reacted to. It wasn't story stuff, so you didn't get the sort of apparent issues that are present within Honkai Star Rail, where apparently story bits are coming out, which is awful. And instead it was just character information and stages and boss fights in order to test their functionality. I think revealing that sort of extent would be a good move, long term. If you're fully transparent, that's one way, but it doesn't get rid of the core issue that the beta testers that should be realistically not recording stuff and not sharing stuff are doing that. And then they feel scared when they get caught out. But yeah, I just wanted to share my 2 cents. I don't think that this video is... I don't think it's wrong in some of its claims, but I also don't think it's correct in a lot of them either. Hopefully, this is a fair assessment of it. Because I have no beef with any of the content creators. I obviously have to keep track roughly of the drama that goes on, because it's the game that I care about, so I at least want to be aware of what's going on around it, because I don't want to step on people's toes, I don't want to upset anyone, and I don't want to buy into the audience giving me misinformation if there was the chance of that occurring. My community is relatively small, and most of the people in it are completely fine, so I've never had information thrown at me that wasn't at least somewhat based in reality, but obviously it pays you well to be informed. And I'd rather be aware than not. Just... I don't usually comment on it, because a lot of the drama's silly and ridiculous. There's a lot of creators who I think are really immature. Braxophone's one of the few that isn't. It's like, the debate on, for example, anniversary awards is one of the most stupid things in the world. And I think that the uproar caused by that was absolutely ridiculous. But this, I think, is actually understandable that people are getting upset over it and concerned about it, because he's claiming it's a fix to a problem that it isn't a fix for. this isn't going to solve the issue of leakers. The only way you can do that is by actually catching them, and by limiting the access that people have to the game. Same goes for Genshin. It applies to both games. Both games have this issue where they don't have the availability for anyone to post beta content. So, any beta content that comes up is in fact a leak. Unless they allow that beta access, which they could, but if they don't, then they have to sort this at the source. And the way to sort at the source is by controlling the access people have to it.